What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi. Welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your host, Dr. Anthony, and discuss today. Sorry, Ida B could not be here. She has things that she has to take care of, but it will be myself and my producer, Mark Lee. So come on out, Mark Lee. Let's go ahead and jump into these topics. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Tired, but I'm good.
I know that's right, and it's glad that you're doing well and doing fantastic and all and that kind of space. I'm sure you got all kinds of things going on. I was actually helping my brother with an event that he did on Saturday. So he's got a health ailment, that being MS is actually what my aunt had as well. So he is a member of the Polaris Slingshot Club, or one of them called the Bull City Slingers. So they did a fundraising event since March is MS month and also disability month. So a lot of people are doing events around those issues and all in that space. So we had a couple of food trucks out there. They were giving away ribbons, giving away lock boxes for medical items and things of that nature, giving away gun locks, I believe those were, as well, and giving away some other safety things. And of course, there were people over there that had some wares, I think some kind of like things that they were selling. And of course, the food trucks were out there. And they were definitely raising awareness. And of course, you can't go wrong with those Batmobile looking like vehicles, because that's what I always think of them as the Batmobile looking like vehicles, and all in that space.
Of course, you can never go wrong with that. So that's an amazing event, I'm sure. And once I get my nonprofit off the ground, we probably will like to partner with your brother and do some things, in the community, which I like to do. So we could talk about that at a later time and a later date.
Oh, yeah, it's all about partnerships and all about growth and opportunities, and definitely a lot of nonprofits are doing great work on a number of issues. So I'm a big fan of nonprofits. Some people are not big fans of nonprofits because some of the nonprofit heads get paid a whole lot of money, and then people don't see the greater mission of the nonprofits. Because I know that even on Pod TV, there have been some conversations around how some of the nonprofits are getting astronomical fees, like in the Sierra Club and some of the other nonprofit organizations. And I'm not saying that they're not having that issue, but for-profit organizations have that issue as well. And I'm also saying that there are a lot of organizations that are doing good for the community and that they should be supported, just because but at the same time, I know even at this nonprofit that I'm working at, the HTI, the bosses have got to make at least some pretty decent money in order to keep the building running. And sometimes you put a decent salary on your executive level, but you don't need to be exorbitant in your executive level. Of course, we do know some people are.
Yeah, we have to spread the wealth, and hopefully through my nonprofit, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay my people, because you got to pay people. They have to survive. They have to make a living wage. So that is a must. But like you said, it's not going to be where, we're busting heads and taking from the programs that we want to support and the people that we want to support.
Yeah,
so I wanted to jump back on this topic about Chris Rock and Will Smith.
Yeah.
So, Adi and I, we don't really see eye to eye on a lot of things. And this is one of the things that we did not really see eye to eye on. And I just feel like, Chris is still picking when it comes to Jada. And when I was doing, further research, it comes to find out that he tried to talk to her and she turned him down. And ever since she turned him down, it's been like an ongoing battle of him saying, derogatory things towards her and just making derogatory statements, every time he gets a chance or whatever. And so people are looking at it like, Will Smith shouldn't have, slapped him. But at some point, enough is enough. And I just feel like, he has, harpooned on the back of Black women for so long. And I feel like enough is enough. And I was listening to one YouTuber, one person on TikTok, an older gentleman, and he was like, he's shucking and jiving and tiptoeing and tapping for, his white audience and his white community. And he feels like he does not do anything with the Black community. And I feel the same way. I mean, because he has made a lot of his money off the backs of Black women and talking about Black women hair, good hair. He made the movie about good hair. I haven't even watched it or whatever, and I have no interest in seeing it, just like I have no interest in seeing his Netflix special, and I will not support it because I just feel some type of way about him and how he's handling the whole situation and how he's saying, derogatory statements about her. And then people are like, well, Will shouldn't have stopped him, but that's his wife. He should have protected his wife. And I just feel like Chris has, stated so many derogatory things about her and still saying derogatory things about her. If she turned you down, she turned you down. And that's just what it is. Let it go. But he has, like I said, harpooned on it for the past 30 years. And he is still making a big to-do about it and still, talking negatively towards her and about her and things of that nature. And I just feel some type of way about it.
Yeah, and I agree. And sometimes, you got to let it go. I do think that sometimes comedians can step over the boundaries on certain issues, and I definitely know that a lot of people will say that comedians have the right to say whatever they want to about health issues, around sexuality, around gender issues, around a number of other things in that space, even certain religious issues. But I do think that there have to be at least some boundaries put out there in what you can do or say. And if it's going to be like a tit for tat and it's because he got rejected, that sounds like a scorned lover. That's what that sounds like to me and everything. And you don't need to be a scorned lover because you didn't get what you wanted in that situation. So now you're going to talk bad about those that did get what you wanted all along and all in that space. But that definitely sounds like a scorned lover. And I definitely have another story that I'm going to get to that I'm going to hear your thoughts around. But before we get to that, I've also found a video of one of those lovely people that also has some things to say about Will Smith and Chris Rock and what was going on in that space. And it is a video that I found that is from none other than, I believe, Joe Rogan. So we're going to see what Joe Rogan's got on this particular issue and all in that space. And then I've got to ask you a very serious question, because there is a woman claiming some math that sounds like Will Chamberlain kind of math. And I don't know that it is humanly possible, but it does involve celebrity life and all in that kind of space. So I'm very curious to see what you've got to say when I tell you about one of these, what do they call them? The wives, those housewives types. And this was a housewife type that was very famous and is now being famous because, she couldn't have the star that she had. So she had him for a number of years, and then she couldn't have his teammate. So she went for the teammate's son. And we'll get to that as well, because she made some claims, and I'm going like, I think that I've got some pretty decent libido when things are acting right and things are going well in my life and I have relationships. But the numbers that she gave didn't make any sense. And I'm going to tell you those numbers, and you tell me if they make any sense to you in a second. But right now I'm waiting for this video, which is taking its lovely time to load up. And it just loaded up. But let's see what other folks have got to say about Chris Rock, if that's all right with you.
Let's go ahead and roll the video.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I could never do what Chris Rock did with the live shit. I would be fucking dead in the water.
The live one's an interesting choice because Louis did a similar thing. Louis did it live on his website, and then he's going to release a full edited version of the set. And then I guess that's exactly what Chris is doing. He released it in the full edited. The shit about Will Smith was ruthless.
Yeah.
Ruthless. It's just like, imagine, in life you play chess. You move pieces around. You say, I do this, and the counter would be that. And imagine the thought, I'm just going to slap Chris Rock, one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time. It's not like he's going to tear my very vulnerable life apart after I smack him with some of the best comedy that anybody's ever written. And he's going to hone it over a year before he releases it.
Yeah.
What a terrible, unprovoked attack. What a dumb thing to do. To be that person who's publicly loved, like Will Smith was until that moment. I mean, until that moment, nobody really had a bad thing to say about, maybe he didn't like one movie, or maybe he thought the superhero movie was dumb, but everybody loved that guy.
I love the superhero.
Everybody loved that guy.
I loved Will. I love Will. I still love Will.
But those two Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Those two are what sunk him. If he just slapped Chris Rock and then sat down and didn't say anything,
People would think it was a joke.
they wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
It would kind of drift off, and people would forget about it. They would think, and they would say to Chris, "Was that on purpose? Did you guys plan that?" Oh. Then he would have skated. But I'm not happy that it happened, but I'm happy the way it happened, because when I was trying to explain to someone who's not involved in show business how bizarre the industry is, and how like untethered those people are to either morals or ethics or just the reality of human nature.
Yeah.
They are completely connected to the zeitgeist in terms of what's popular and what's trendy and what's accepted by our group and what's rejected by our group, that no one has, I mean, not no one, but in general, the mindset of the people in Hollywood, there's very little independent thought. It's all groupthink. So when Will Smith, after smacking Chris Rock and all that other craziness, goes on stage and wins the Academy Award and gets a fucking standing ovation, that was like, that's those people. That's this. They don't know what to do. They don't have the ability to say, hey, that's not right. I don't care if you're famous. I don't care if you just won the Oscar. You can't assault people. What you did is ridiculous. The way you're behaving is crazy. It didn't even make sense. It wasn't even proportionate to what he said. It wasn't like you overreacted in such a strange way. I have to wonder, are you okay? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
No one did that. They all like, yes, it was amazing. They went to the Vanity Fair party. He was dancing. It was almost like it all went away until the rest of the world was like, are you out of your fucking mind? What is wrong with you?
That is crazy that it did not get acknowledged at all, and then I guess, do you think that's a testament to the internet? Because the internet was like, what the fuck?
Yes, it definitely is a testament to the internet, but the internet is just representative of most people. I mean, there's some people that thought that Chris deserved it. You know, don't talk about someone's wife. Like, there's a lot of goofy people out
there. So, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, they don't understand what's going on. This man has been, you know, like we say, playing the dozens, talking about this man's wife for over 30 years. You know, even, you know, you hit a dog and you kick a dog long enough, that dog gonna turn on you and start barking. You know, so he was just fed up and he was tired of it. And I felt that Chris Rock deserved everything that he received, you know, because Black women has been the brunt of his jokes since he's been telling jokes, since he was Pookie, because he'll always be forever known as Pookie in our world, you know, because he's one of those ones that we would gladly pass off to the, you know, to the palm people or whatever, you know what I'm saying? One that we would not fight for. He's one of those, you know, so, you know, regardless of what they're saying, you know, like Will Smith has trauma or whatever. No, he's just fed up and he's tired. He's tired of, you know, dealing with what Chris Rock is doing and what he has said about his wife. For example, why did he choose to have his special in Baltimore? Why he couldn't have it in New York where he's from? Jada's from Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? So why did he choose to have it there? Why did he choose to, you know, center his show around the whole, you know, Will Smith thing and Jada thing? Why he didn't just move on? I understand people saying that he has a voice, he has the right to say whatever. But at the same time, you ought to get enough of getting your ass whooped by talking about this man's wife. You know, so apparently the slap just wasn't enough.
The slap wasn't enough. He's still going to be running his mouth and everything.
Right, exactly.
But they did talk about that group thing and that group think mentality. And I did hear something else interesting in the news. I'm going to get to the other one that I was going to get to in a second. But there's a lot of folks, including a world-renowned futurist, and he is saying that if we're not careful, we may be heading to groupthink. If you remember Star Trek, there was a movie called, there was a group of characters called the Borg, and we may be heading to Borg mentality because there is a futurist, and he's had some track record of success, but he is claiming that within 7 years, that's right, 2030, we will all be able to achieve what some folks have said they've been looking for all their lives, which is immortality. And part of what they're saying is that there will be little microbes and little things running around in your body that can fix any ailment that you have, and that can keep you going forever and a day. So I guess we'll all be like the Energizer Bunny, literally. and all in that space. So I'm just wondering, as a mortal woman and everything, what is your thoughts about this? Because there's some real people that are pushing strong that we get all this technology, and the technology will allow us to dump our consciousness, and that might be worth it because you might have some knowledge that you want to pass on to the next generation, and they can hear your voice or hear your thoughts and all in that space. But there's some other mad scientist types out there that would like it that you could literally, Dr. Anthony, be here in the year 2130 or 2230 or maybe even 2530 and all in that space. So if they give you that kind of technology, can we look forward to hearing the all around show in the year 2530?
They're gonna be hearing reruns because I'm not participating in it. You know, my thing is y'all playing, you know, you're trying to play God. If God wants me here in 2530, I'll be here in 2530. But I'm not putting anything in my body to, you know, say otherwise or whatever. You know, I just don't believe in doing it. Now, other people may, you know, support the initiative. They may want to support what they got going on, but I'm not the one to support anything like that. You know, because the Bible says, you know, the sign of the beast, the mark of the beast, and so all of this stuff is, you know, like coming to pass and things like that. And so, like I said, if God gives me longevity where I see that where he sees fit for me to live beyond my years, then I'll live beyond my years. But I'm not doing anything playing with God and, you know, playing with my life. And
No, I hear you. But you remember, even before the technology, you had people, and I think there was even people as recently as, you know, probably doing it right now, that as they got closer to the end of their life, they went into the deep freeze. You know, that whole I forget what it's called, cryogenics or something along those lines. I think is the name for it. But they would go into a deep freeze. You know, there were entire movies made about that because let's say you went in a deep freeze in 1980 and you came out in 2040 or 2030. There's a whole lot of things that have happened in the world, including the election of Trump, including this pandemic, including a number of other things that you probably be sitting there scratching your head going like, what did the world do while I was asleep for 60 years and all in that space? So and that's a similar kind of thing where folks, I guess, are trying to play God and dictate when their final end can happen because, you know, they're just going to freeze their body and hope that when it is unfrozen, that whatever their problem was has got a cure and that they can fix it. But, you know, that's a long time to be in a deep freeze and all in that space. And we don't know that the body can even survive that deep freeze. But let's just say you do wake up and you're able to come alive. There's no guarantee that what you saw is still going to be around. Some of the people that you used to be hanging out with are probably long gone as well. So I agree with you that there is some scary thoughts. Now I want to get to the other thing, and I did want to bring it up and everything, but Larissa Pippen, that is Scottie Pippen's wife, who's now dating Michael Jordan's son. And there are some people that are wondering about the age difference because I think she's pushing near 50 and everything. And I want to say he's in the early 30s since he is Michael's oldest son and all in that space. But she said, well, one, she gave Mr. Pippen a lot of credit because she said that he was definitely had it going on sexually and all in that space. But she also said, and that is where people are trying to do the math, that she had sex 4 times a day, every 7 days a week for about 23 years. Last time I checked, that's a whole lot of sex, and I don't even know if the human body can put up with that amount of sex. And like I said, I do know that I consider myself to have multiple testosterone and pretty strong libido and all in that space. But even I would not claim that in any way or form or fashion. But I'm just going like, as a woman, when you hear women speaking this kind of talk, and I do remember when Wilt Chamberlain said something similar, but and there's no guarantee in the Twitter post that I saw, it was all with Scottie Pippen. So she could have been having entire sex with different other men and everything. But
I mean, it had to be because, I mean, even his practice schedule wouldn't allow him to, be sexually active with her for four times a day. And if she's having sex 4 times a day for the past 23 years, he played how many of those years? And when was he at practice and when he was traveling? So apparently the math ain't math. And if, people were thinking that she was just sexually active with him, she had to have the gardener, the milkman, and everybody else that was coming along if she was being sexually active 4 times a day, because he was just not physically possible for him to do it because he wasn't there, for one, and for two, coming from practice, having those hard practices, his body just wasn't maintaining the stamina unless he was taking Viagra or whatever to do what he needed to do. It's just virtually impossible almost.
That is virtually impossible. But not only that, like I said, the human body is a wonderful thing. There are different parts of the human anatomy, be that the male anatomy or the female anatomy. But either way, I'm thinking that a whole lot of wear and tear, and any part of the body is going to react to wear and tear. So I'd even hate to see what that part of the body looks like for her if she had that much going on, because wear and tear would say that, well, just aging in of itself is going to lead to some wear and tear. But then you put in that much punishment on the body on a regular basis. I know it is a wonderful act. It's one that I definitely enjoy, but at the same time, I'm also a realist. That is just way too much, and you got to got to let things recharge and regroup and everything. I am one that do not mind a rollover after a session or something along those lines, but still you got to get some rest. And 4 times is a lot, and definitely that many times a week is just ridiculous. That's just my thoughts and everything. But I don't know.
But I mean, it says a lot about her to say that she's sleeping with someone that's probably the age of her daughter. I'm just like, people just don't have any morals and values anymore. So you sleep with him just because he's Michael Jordan's son.
That's
you try
that's
to
the other thing.
get paid. Like,
she is 48 and he is 33, so that is a 15-year gap and everything. And I mean, the gaps can work and all in that space. But I'm sure that she saw him when he was a child, because that would have been around the time that Scottie and Michael were playing. So you're definitely dating like the child of somebody that you saw grow up in that space. So it's one thing to find a younger person at a later time in life and to connect and to have a lifetime. I've even seen some people that have had relationships that have gone that distance, that have definitely had a gap in age. Shucks, then Michael Douglas, or one of them famous actors, just recently, it was Mick Jagger, just recently had a child by somebody 20 or something along those lines, and I think he's like 80 or something in that space. So it's not saying it's not possible, and true love can conquer many things, including age differences. But I don't know about somebody that you saw as a baby and then you watched them grow up. It's one thing to find them later in life. It's another thing if you literally watch them grow up as a baby.
I mean, technically thinking, she's a sex offender, technically, because you basically, is like you groomed this boy to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? Although he's like 15 years younger, like, who does that? Like, seriously, who does that? So I mean, I'm gonna just let it make it. So,
well, one of the famous basketball players said that y'all need to leave her alone because John Sally says living her life on Larsa Pippen dating younger man, because apparently that's not the first time that she's done that. And John Sally spoke out about the significant age difference between her then boyfriend, NBA player Malik Beasley, and because that was another one that was out there that she was with. So maybe she just likes them younger.
Yeah, she has 4 children, right? Yeah, she has 4 children. So apparently she's dating with somebody that's along the line of her children's age or whatever, But I mean, if they like them ran through, hey, more power to them, I can't be mad at you because I'm not controlling you. You're not controlling me. I don't pay your bills. You don't pay mine. So just my opinion.
No, I got you and I hear you. But like I said, I know that you're not trying to grab no 30 or 20-year-olds, even though I do understand that they sometimes might be coming chasing after you. But you also said that, like even as a teacher, that you're not trying to get with those young folks that even when you were close to their age, because I think you said you went into teaching when you were in your mid-20s or whatever. But I remember that from the last show, that you were not trying to get with the 18 and 17-year-olds just because you knew you had a position of authority. Right.
I mean, I just feel like you should have some boundaries, have some self-respect or whatever. And apparently, these women, these type of women, they don't really have no boundaries. They don't care. I just don't feel like they have no self-respect for themselves, for that person. He is grown. I bid you not, he is grown, but you're going to date one of your husband's best friend's sons. That says a lot about you. So you've been watching this dude ever since he was little. Right. So you've been fantasizing about this dude ever since he was little. You know what I'm saying? So that goes to show the mindset of you as a person. Like, seriously? Like, where they do that at?
Yeah, I don't get it, but that's what folks are doing these days. And some folks are going in for that. But then again, you also got folks that are giving both AOC and Kamala Harris a hard time, speaking of love relationships, because while they are very devoutly active in their community, AOC in the Hispanic community, but also in the African American community as well, and definitely Kamala as the vice president and a sister that went to Howard and is very proud of her sorority background as well. But both of those individuals, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, my dad has actually been involved with a European backed woman as well, but they both went on to the other side and all in that space. So, what is your thoughts when you see these high-powered celebrity women that are like, "Nah, I don't think that the brothers are doing me right, so I'm going to go on over there and check out Tom or maybe Bob over there and see what they're all about." Because, like I said, Kamala, the first. What is that? It's the second husband. Yeah, that's right. Because the vice president is the wife is the first wife or whatever, first lady. So the second husband is think that's what that's called if you're the vice president's husband. The second husband is definitely a European American, and I know that this person is European American as well.
I mean, but at the same time, you have to think about it. You know, we prefer black men, but black men don't want us to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? Because they have this narrative about black women that we're loud, we're aggressive, we're this, we're that. You know, they want women of a different stature. They want women from, you know, like these passport brothers. They want women who are what they call more submissive and things like that. So it's not that we don't want black men. Black men don't really want us. And so when it comes to, you know, like dating, what else is out there except if you don't date, you're gonna die alone, you know, and nobody wants to die alone. Somebody wants to be with somebody. So I mean, you know, and although I'm pro-black, but I'm open too. So if, you know, I feel like, you know, black men are not doing it for me, I'm a step and, you know, date outside my race or whatever. But my first initiative is a black man. But, you know, like I said, black men don't want us. They want to place criteria. They want to place this. They want to place that. Oh, and I saw something on TikTok. If the woman has a degree or she does this, you know, we don't want to talk to that woman because she's too strong. She's too, you know, goal oriented. And I'm just like, that is so far fetched. That is the most asinine thing that I've ever heard for a black man to say about a black woman. But they're coming up with all these different types of characteristics and these different types of narratives about us as to why they don't want to date us. So I mean, what do we do?
Well, there's a couple of things that I gotta ask you, because there's also some sisters out there, and I'm not saying there's a lot, but there are some sisters out there that say that they don't want anything to do with a blue collar job. They want a white collar job or something along those lines. But they forget that the white collar jobs aren't always the lawyers and the doctors. White collar jobs also include clerical, administrative, and management roles, and they definitely don't get paid a lot and everything. But they just think that because it's a white collar, it's got to be a better job. And blue collar jobs include farmers. Farmers make a pretty good amount of money. Electricians definitely make a whole lot of money. Power plant operators, I'm thinking that's like a nuclear power plant or an electric power plant. I'm thinking they get paid some pretty good money. And mechanics, and we're talking car mechanics, airplane mechanics, and a number of others. And that's just some of the blue collar jobs. So I do think that some sisters and just people in general dismiss the blue collar workers and not realizing that there are some blue collar jobs out there to get paid some pretty good money and can definitely do some serious support in that if that is their role in the relationship. So I think that there are some seriously dismiss blue collar.
Right. But as I'm not denying that, you know, men has placed stipulations on women. So my thing is, why can't women place stipulations on men as to what type of man that she wants to date, what type of man that she wants in her life? I feel like, you know, if they can say, I want a woman who's dime thin, or I want a woman who's 36, 24, 36, why can't women say, you know, I want a man that works here and I want one that does this and I want one that does that. But at the same time, I feel like people need to date in their lane. If you know that you're not that caliber of person that you're requiring that man to be, you need to reassess and you need to date in your lane. Because a lot of women are like, oh, you know, I want a 6-figure man, I want this, I want that, but yet and still they're not 6-figure themselves, and they want the man to be everything that they want them to be, but you're not stepping up to the table and you're not bringing that same energy or that same game to the table. So I just feel like, you know, it needs to be equal all around. Yeah, I'm sorry. So I just feel like it needs to be equal all around in terms of, you know, what you bring to the table and what he brings to the table. So for example, you know, if I say, you know, I want X, Y, and Z for my birthday, I want to go to Louis, I want to go to Gucci, and I want to do this and I want to do that. I'm going to shield out the same thing for you that I want you to shield out the same thing for me. And if I'm always, splurging on you and you have a problem with splurging on me, it becomes an issue. So I just feel like people need to date in their caliber, people need to date on their level, and people need to date where, they feel equal to. If you're, I'm just going to say a low wage earner, and you feel like you want a 6-figure man, then you need to bring something to the table than just, claiming that I want my man to be able to do this and I want my man to be able to do that. It has to be equal boundaries and equal footing, because the man is not just going to always just splurge, and you can't do nothing in return. So it has to be equal, it has to be a balance. That's all.
Definitely got to be a balance and everything. And, that raises a couple of interesting things, because I was watching a TV episode where they were talking about the Sadie Hawkins dance. It was actually one of those police dramas, and I was going like, I think I vaguely remember those, but that's the one where the woman is given the opportunity to ask the man out instead of the other way around. And I'm sure maybe even in your school they may do some of those Sadie Hawkins dance, and of course everybody knows about the going Dutch and things in that space. So there are ways that we are seeing women take a greater role in some of those kind of spaces, but I definitely believe that chivalry is not dead. And if you're taking a ride for somebody, you're going at the gas station, and you should at least offer to pay for the gas, and all in that space. So chivalry does not need to be dead and in those kind of ways. But there are some people that might not agree with me, and they think that chivalry is a novel concept and all along those lines. But I just learned a new term because I did not realize, but apparently I knew about blue collar and white collar. But Dr. Anthony, did you know that there are red collar jobs? Because apparently, since most of the natural products we get are from agriculture, dairy, forestry, fishing, it is also called agriculture and allied sectors. I did know that. But people engaged in those primary activities are called red collar workers due to the outdoor nature of their work. So,
I didn't know what they were called, but I knew that they, played a role in, certain things that we appreciate and that we need in terms of everyday survival. So, red collar, that's a new term, because it always has been white collar and blue collar, just the two. So now they're introducing,
they're introducing all kinds of new colors, because they've added gray collar workers, because they said gray collar workers are in many ways the jobs of the future. Gray collar workers often find themselves at the intersection of technology and service. In most cases, there are positions that require some combination of physical and technical skills, such as healthcare workers, teachers, and robotic engineers. So they've added 2 new colors to the color
wide spectrum. But yeah, so I just feel like, everybody needs to date within their, their level and on their playing field, and, keep it at that, because you can't date a person who is, like high maintenance, and then you expect that person to drop their standards just because you can't maintain that lifestyle that they're living. Because like I tell people all the time, 9 times out of 10, if a woman is living or she's high maintenance, she can do all this stuff for herself. Having you is extra, and that's a plus, but she doesn't need you to do anything, because I was kind of sort of in a situation like that myself or whatever. He just felt like I was just too high maintenance, but I was like, but you knew what you were getting into before you even started, shooting your shot at me. This was a conversation that we had already had, that, I was extremely spoiled and I was used to certain things and I was used to a certain lifestyle. But then, you was like, oh, I'm okay. But then when it came down to, like you performing and you doing certain things, always you need to change up, you need to, lower your standards, you need to do this. No, I'm not lowering my standards. You need to either step up or move out the way.
You don't need to lower your standards. But Dr. Anthony, question for you, because I've heard interesting conversations about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. How much do you think it is that, and I'm asking you a question, I don't know what the answer is going to be, but how much should each gender know what is traditionally been the other gender's role? Like, I think that it is very admirable, a woman that knows how to change the tire, because there's not always going to be the man out there. And if you need to get stuck in a road, you need to know how to change the tire. I also think it's very admirable that my brother is actually a primary example of one of these skill sets. It's a skill set I need to get better at. Hate to tell you this, because I know you're from Louisiana, so cooking is very important to you, and I do promise I will get better at it. But my brother is the master cook and all that. But I admire, whether it's my brother or my dad, folks that are master cooks that are, males that are in that. And we do know that there are some famous male chefs, but I'm just talking about in general, those roles sometimes get stuck in those old ways of styles, and that's just 2 examples. But definitely, I think that is something that should be admired. Now, there are some skill sets that women have that there might be turn it over to the man as well? Because I was having a conversation, and I know you're going to love this one. You probably go dig into this one as well. But there was a conversation recently that there are some man and scientists, maybe some mad scientists out there that are putting stuff into technology that will allow a man to give birth. Now, that I think might be going a little bit too far and everything, but there are
where the hell the baby coming from?
there's like some technology and it being planted in there.
I'm just saying, where the hell the baby coming from? Because because I'm picturing this in my head and I don't see any positivity from that. But okay, yeah. But I just feel like, everybody has to, play their role. Everybody needs to be kind of self-sufficient and be able to function on their own. Yes, I do know how to change the tire. Yes, I can put my own gas. Do I want to do it? No. But if I had to do it, yes, I can be self-sufficient in that manner. But if I'm dealing with someone, that's his role. That's what he's going to do. He's going to take care of those needs. But if he's not available at the time, I'm going to just call AAA. No, I'm just playing. But no, I can do all those things, and I am, self-sufficient. But at the same time, I'm not strong enough where I'm not going to say that I don't need a man, because I'm not putting that out there, because every woman needs a man if that's what she wants. But yes, I can be independent. Yes, I can do all those things. But at the same time, having him is extra, and having him is a plus, and having him is, special. But can I do those things? Yes, I can do those things on my own. Can I put air in my tire? Yes, I can put air in my tire. Can I change my tire? Yes, I can change my tire. I am self-sufficient. I'm from the South. So we learn those things coming up. Will I do it now? No, because the expectation is that he's going to do it. But can I do it? Yes, I can. But I just feel like, everybody has a role to play, and everybody needs to play their role. I don't want to overstep my boundaries and play his role as the man, as the leader of the house. Even if I do make more money than him, he is still going to be the leader of the house. He is still going to be the man of the house. He is still going to, command his house, and I will still submit. Although I will make more money, that has nothing to do with me playing my role as a female. And it is not taken away from my independency, because I'm still independent. I'm still strong. But when it comes to, dealing with your man, you still have to step back, and you still have to play your role as his woman and as him being the head of the household. And so I think a lot of people get that misconstrued, like strong women can't be submissive. That's not true. Strong women are very submissive, but it's a time and a place when that takes place. When I'm in the work, I'm very dominant, and I'm very precise, and I'm very measured, very principled. When I'm at home, it's the total opposite. You know what I'm saying?
No, I definitely hear you. And by the way, I was looking up some of these articles, and it's scary, but yes, there is some research out there about a uterine transplant. Apparently, that's some of the things that some of you in the trans community is thinking about as well. And one of these articles are in as recently as 2022. So I guess they are going to try to reconstruct the body, so that I guess in that case,
I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
I mean, for the simple reason is because people got to understand, when men take up on the role as a woman and they have these sex change operations, women are naturally, versed with the vagina, the ovaries, the vaginal tube, the vaginal lining, the walls, all of that. When men are transformed from being a man into a woman, their stuff is not natural. So they have to take a tube every day and push it up in themselves to keep that open, because that's just raw flesh. Right. So logically seeing it, I don't see that taking place, because how is it going to happen? You know what I'm saying? You don't have, your pelvic is not going to expand. When women are giving birth and are in transition to give birth, the woman's pelvic actually expands so that the baby can come down the vaginal tube and through the vaginal walls. I just don't see that happening with a trans woman, because the organs are just not there. And who's to say that if that uterus is transplanted from a woman to a trans woman, is it going to even function properly? Because at the end of the day, and I'm not taking anything from trans women, this is just speaking logically. Right. At the end of the day, your DNA still says man. So in order for you to take a woman's uterus and insert it into a man, I just don't think it's going to happen, because the DNA is just not going to function, and it's just not going to mesh well, because that's a foreign entity going into your body. It's not like it's a woman transplanting from another woman. that's different. You're transplanting from a woman to a man, and who's to say that that is even going to have a, you know, a natural reaction or a natural meshing for that to even take place? Me personally, I just don't see it because it's just not logical in a sense. Because the DNA,
like I said, I don't, DNA and well, don't even get me on DNA because DNA. I was telling somebody recently, I've got a issue with where we're getting the DNA samples from, and like I said, it just doesn't make any sense to me because every time you turn around, somebody is finding in their DNA that they are part Irish, part French, part Italian, part whatever the European country is. And maybe this is just me, and maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but last time I checked, anybody that is doing the research has to do it using a sample, like a base sample, I think is what they call it. And you're the teacher, so you can tell me if I'm using the incorrect word, but I think it's called a base sample. And if your base sample is European, and most of those companies are European based, when everybody come out is having some sort of European blood because the base sample is European. That just makes logical sense to me, speaking of logic, but what do I know?
No, but it does make logical sense because, you know, my thing is with the whole DNA thing, have you taken a sample from every person in Africa, every tribe in Africa, for Black people to even know their ancestors? And I don't even think that, you know, Black Americans will get a true read of the ancestral DNA because we are mixed with so much stuff other than, you know, our ancestral DNA. So like you said, is where the sample is being taken from will, you know, yield whatever type of read that, you know, a person is looking for. I mean, because, you know, Black Americans, let's just take my culture, for example, from Louisiana. You know, they call a lot of Louisianians mutts because we're typically, you know, we're just mixed with everything. You know what I'm saying? So who's to say that, you know, we won't get, you know, some type of French or whatever, or some other type of DNA?
There's definitely that. And actually, that was one of the things that we showed last week. Oh, actually, yesterday, we had a movie that was featuring your area of Louisiana. It's called A City of a Million Dreams. The gentleman went out there and traveled and looked at the music culture of Mardi Gras, and looked at a number of other parts of Louisiana. And yeah, and definitely went and used all of that kind of research, and it was a 30-year project, I think he said, is what the director told me, but he made it and looked at everything from the aspect of the line performances that y'all do during the Mardi Gras parades to some of the other celebrations, and of course looked at the food and looked at some of the blues music and the jazz lines and a number of other things that are a rich part of that Louisiana culture. So it was a successful movie, and actually as I was leaving, they were playing some of those notes. Unfortunately, mass transit does end at a certain hour on Sunday, so I had to get home before the mass transit ended, but I did catch some of it online, and if anybody wants to go to the HeyTide website, they can see some of the performances and all in that space. But I got a more serious question to ask you as we start to wind down and everything. But there is a gentleman that is not from Louisiana. Not that there haven't been other corrupt people from Louisiana, but this gentleman is not from Louisiana, and there are some serious reports that he may be in handcuffs later on today or later on this week and everything. So what are our thoughts about the possibility that Trump might actually get indicted and have to go in handcuffs and be, prosecuted and all in that space? I understand it's a sister that's going after him and all along those lines. But is there a strong possibility that this could be a good thing? And I did hear one of my conservative friends say that this could actually backfire because it might just mobilize their masses and their constituency to come out in droves and all of that to defend their legendary hero. And I am being quite sarcastic when I use terms like that.
Well, go ahead and let him. This is a prime opportunity to show his legendary folks that they are not above the law and they are not above reproach. So we need to send a strong message. And yes, he needs to be in handcuffs and he needs to be behind bars because he was the ringtail leader of the insurrectionists and the things that happened on January 6th. So yes, they need to arrest him. They need to put him in cuffs, and they need to send a strong message that this is not the way that democracy is handled, and this is not what we're going to stand for. And they need to put their asses in jail and throw them under the jail. So if they come out and they cause chaos and they cause havoc, go ahead and start, putting them in jail, getting those jail cells ready, and so that we can show that this is not where we are going, and this is not the democracy that we are aspiring to. This is something that is totally against, the whole the whole idea of democracy. You trying to overthrow the government because you don't like an election because you lost. So no, he needs to be arrested, and the rest of them too.
Are you ready to arrest all of them and get rid of them and just get
All
rid
of
of
them.
them quick, fast, and in a hurry?
Quick, fast, in a hurry. Because my thing is, the woman that got killed in the when she went into the Capitol, they told her to stand down. She wouldn't stand down, so she got shot and she got killed. So her husband now, at some point, was trying to sue the American government. No, you can't sue the American government because she committed treason. She committed a crime against the United States government. So how in the hell you figure that you can commit crime against the United States government and you get shot and you get killed and you can still get paid? No, it doesn't work like that. Because if we all know that if those insurrectionists would have been Black, we would have had a bloodbath on our hands. So no, we need to send a strong message as the law enforcement and as political leaders that this is not the road that we're going to take, and this is not what is going to happen. And so they need to know that they're going to be prosecuted, and they need to know that they are going to be held to the full extent of the law. So yes, they need to be arrested and prosecuted.
No, I hear you. I'm going to take one quick break and turn it over to you on one other question, but I will be back before we end. But as I turn it over to you, my quick question for you is, what are the thoughts around the notion of a DeSantis Biden race? Because everybody is right now saying it's going to be a rematch of the Trump Biden match, and everybody's pretty much saying that it's Biden's to lose and all in that space. But we do have a crazy economy, so who knows what the economy will do also. But I was wondering your take, and will we get a woman president? Because there are some people that are saying that Nikki Haley on their side is strong, and some people are saying that Kamala needs to actually resurface and that she could be a strong candidate on the Democratic side. And then there's even some people that are speculating that we could even go as far as having a gay president. Not that we haven't had those before, they just weren't out in the open and all in that space, but they're saying that Pistol Pete could be a legitimate contender. So just wondering your thoughts on some of these contenders.
Well, I mean, Kamala is, I feel like she would make an excellent president. Joe Biden, I think that he's doing what he's supposed to do. As far as DeSantis is concerned, I don't think that he is going to be a front runner in terms of the GOP, because they're already putting things out there that he was grooming high school girls to when he worked as a high school teacher, that he was grooming them to have sex with them. So he's looked at upon as a sex offender. And Nikki Haley, I just don't foresee her being one of the front runners. She's basically in denial of her heritage. She wants to be white, but she's not. She's actually Middle Eastern. And so she has denied that she is a Middle Easterner. But for the GOP, I'm not worried about them. I'm just worried about the Democratic Party and where we stand. I just think that Biden needs to come out, pushing strong, and Kamala needs to come out pushing strong behind him, and, basically getting the things that they said that they wanted to do done. I think he needs to use the stroke of the pen in terms of his executive power with the student loan back, because I feel like it's a slap in the face that, they can say that giving people reprieve on the student loans is against the Constitution, but yet and still you take less than 2 days, less than a week to provide money to a bankrupt bank and all those people. And we see a residual cycle with the bankruptcy in terms of the banks and things like that, where the American people are always bailing out Wall Street, always bailing out the banks, but y'all don't want to bail out the American people. And then to say that, you guys send billions of dollars, my black tax dollars, over to Ukraine. I have a problem with that. When you don't want to take my black tax dollars and help other people in need in terms of student loans, especially Black Americans in terms of student loans, then I have a problem with that. So I think that the Democratic Party needs to, double down on supporting the American people in terms of, student loans and providing more reprieve to them. And I'm just not worried about the Republicans, because the Republicans going to be Republicans anyway.
What do you think about the Republicans and their push around immigration and their push around refugees? Because they seem to love their refugees. They'll take all the Ukrainians in the world and everything, but when the folks are coming over from Mexico, we won't even talk about the folks from Somalia and some of the African nations, they don't get the same kind of welcome that other nations get, and all in that space.
Of course not, because they look at Ukrainians as true white people. So that people got to understand that, if you're not white, you're not where it's at. So they want to bring, that white supremacy, that white power, that white superiority. That's what they're looking at in terms of Ukrainians, in terms of, Hispanics, people that's coming from Haiti and other, countries that are trying to enter the country. You are a minority. You are black. You are brown. So they're not fighting for you to get here. They don't want you here, because they feel that you are a crutch to the society. So that's the difference between the two, So as far as Hispanics are concerned, and you have white Hispanics, or Hispanics that come from Spain, and they feel like they have to side with the white people, where they don't perceive you as white. So I don't even understand why you're siding with them, and they vote against their own best interest to appease the white people. So
no, but that reminds me that I knew there was somebody else that I was going to talk to you about, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because it just reminded me who it was. But I guess it was back in December. I wish I could pull that clip. Maybe I'll pull it when Ida comes on next week and everything. But there is a crazy African American activist, and that's the only word I can use for him, even though that's not the really words I want to use. I just want to call him crazy. But he seems to think, and he was on Dr. Phil, Jesse Lewis Pearson or something like that, I think is his name. But he was saying that white people need to have more babies, because white people are the innovators of the world and all of that, and that what's going wrong with society is that white people are not having enough babies, and that we need to encourage white people to have more babies. And this was a brother that said this, and even Dr. Phil was like, I thought you had pissed off everybody before when you had said about the immigrants and the refugees coming over, but now I know you've pissed off everybody in the audience and that's listening, because you got this crazy statement. So even Dr. Phil thought that it was a little crazy what he was proposing, but he's not the first person to say that the white people need to have more babies, and that they are need to protect their God-given rights along those lines, even though there are some people that would even argue that they're also afraid, because they are about to be the serious minority.
They already are a serious minority.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But
they're already a serious minority, but I think he's doing that for notoriety and to get publicity and things. That's just like another Candace Owens. She used all the black, materials, NAACP, to fight her case. And then because she tried to do the same thing with the Democrats that she's doing with the Republicans, and the Democrats didn't bite her, the hook that she was, throwing out and things. And then she switched over to the Republican side. And so she started, talking about black people this, black people that, and how black people, the race is doing this and the race is doing that, just being asinine, just making an ass out of her damn self for the white people, shucking and jiving, basically, you know what I'm saying? So this is basically what he's doing. The white people has been on a decline for a long time. And so they're trying to put measures in place, such as that, overturning Roe versus Wade, that the white women have to give birth, because it wasn't about black women. It was always about white women and their low decline on the birth rate of white people. So that's where that came from. So, I mean, he can say what he wants about white people needing to have more babies. They're already the minority. And so the majority is going to, the minority majority, which is Hispanics, is going to be the majority over everybody, because they're outpacing blacks and whites by having children like 4-1. So they're already leading in that capacity. So what they're trying to do is, like a Ron DeSantis is trying to get, like the white Hispanics to vote along his party lines to support what he has going on. But what they fail to realize is that they're going to be in the fallout just as well as everybody else, although that they're voting against their own best interests. So it's not a win-win situation anyway. So we as Democrats, we need to mobilize, and we need to vote against the Ron DeSantis, and against, those types of thought processes, and against those type of people that are putting that rhetoric out there, because it's not just happening in Florida. It's starting to, matriculate and happen in other states as well. So we as, like I said, the Democratic Party and independents and liberals and things like that, we have to mobilize, and we have to counteract what they are putting out there and what they're doing. But he's just another asinine person that's, trying to get fame and notoriety. That's all that is. I can't hear you.
But I mean, not only that, but the whole innovation quality. Did he not hear about the GPS? Did he not hear about?
Well, the thing about it, Right, but what I was saying is, he's trying to get, brownie points from white people, because what we call that is shucking and jiving. You know what I'm saying? And we can't even call him an Uncle Tom, because Uncle Tom was a protector of black women, and a lot of people don't know that, but they use the term Uncle Tom to be, someone who sucks up to white women. I mean, white people about, white things or whatever. But Uncle Tom actually was a protector of black women and black things. So he's shucking and jiving for the white folks, trying to gain notoriety there, which there's no notoriety to gain by saying that they are the innovators. No, they're not the innovators. Black people are the innovators, and we've always been innovators. We created everything. Without us, there's nothing. Even the designers have, copied things from Africa and the tribal nations and things like that or whatever. So we have always been the trendsetters. We are the blueprint. We are the innovators. We are the trendsetters and the movers and shakers and things like that. And it's no other way to say it. But that's just what we are. But he's looking for notoriety from the white folks or whatever, and he's shucking and jiving, trying to sell out his own race or whatever, because that's what we call a black white person. He's black on the outside but white on the inside. So that's exactly what he is, a black white person who has no base.
So he's basically an Oreo, or as a friend of mine used to call it, because there's a term for that for just about everybody. I think the Hispanics call them tacos, because you got the sour cream on the inside and the brown on the outside, and the Indians call them apples. And there are different other names that are folks that are the Uncle Toms of their community. But it definitely sounds like he's a true Oreo, because when I was really watching that, and I watched the video, and I'm going like, yeah, this man, I'm surprised that he got, because isn't Dr. Field taped in either Los Angeles or New York or Chicago? It's one of the big cities. And I'm surprised he got out of the building alive.
I mean, and my thing is, you're making a ass and out yourself, and basically a clown for something that that is not even true, and nobody is even jumping on your bandwagon. You sound foolish. You sound very asinine. You sound very ignorant to the fact that nobody is even listening to what you're saying, but you're yet and still trying to shuck and jive, like a minstrel show, and put on for the white people to like pick up what you're saying, but you're not saying anything, and nobody is buying it. So that's just what that is.
I know one thing that we're buying, and I need folks to know that they need to buy it from you and everything. I know I get my new copy coming soon, since the other copy was having issues and all in that space, and I'm going to give one to my nephews and all in that space. But you've got a brand new book coming out, and you've got a nonprofit coming out, and you've got a bunch of other things coming out. So I think that the listeners of the All Around Show, as we close out this show, need to hear about all these wonderful things that the great Dr. Anthony is doing and all in that space. So I think that would be a great way to close out, is for folks to learn all the amazing things that you are doing. And then, of course, I'll be back next week with you and Miss Ida and everything, and we'll have some more conversations. Who knows what we'll talk about? We talked about politics and sex today, so there's no telling.
Well, we have a guest next week. We have the beautiful Dr. Donna Ford that's going to be with us. She's a guru in education, especially gifted education. She has published countless numbers of articles, wrote countless numbers of books, and so we will have her as a guest, and we will discuss topics around education and getting your child into gifted education. So we are going to discuss that. But yes, I do have another book that's about to come out, and I'm not ready to give the title. I think I've given it before, but I'm not just ready to give it just yet again. But all my other books are on Amazon, and you can go to Amazon.com and pull up At the Gator Park and The Enchanted Columns. If you would like a copy of those books, they are on Amazon. And the other book will be coming out shortly. We got to tweak some little things, so I don't want to, put that out there just yet. But yes, and Beauty and Brains is the nonprofit, so be on the lookout for that. We will try to be up and running by the summer. Hopefully by the end of the summer, we're going to be up and running and, get you guys acclimated with that. And we also have the makeup line that's out there, and lipstick, lip gloss, and we're going to continue to add to that. So just be on the lookout for, the websites and all of those good things. And with that being said, Mark, I want to thank you for the great dialogue that we always have. And we're looking forward to having you again as a guest, as a commentator with our guest, Dr. Ford, next week. And Sister Ida will be back next week. And so we will get involved around topics of gifted education and education in general, because I know that, it is a hot topic around some places. So we will dive and get deep into that. And we also have another guest that's going to be coming up here shortly, Marcus Jackson. He will join us at some point in time. I have to send him over the dates and things like that. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in to another great episode of The All Around. Make sure you click like and share, and expose us out there in internet land. And you can always watch us at www.podtv.tv. And with that being said, thank you again. Take us out, Mark.
That's good. We're out of here.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to The All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.